welcome back. Let's discuss another interesting topic in the syllabus which has lot of scope. So the examiner has lot of options to test because the application of this area is very wide, and it is not only good for you to study this to pass your exam, but this would help you to excel at your workplace also, especially if you are doing product costing or service costing at your workplace. The topic is activity-based costing. Activity-based costing originally started as a concept which helps companies to cost the products accurately. And what did it challenge? What did it replace? The traditional overhead absorption costing. Now, what happens in overhead absorption? We could trace the cost of a product quite accurately up to its gross profit, which is not an issue. And then what happens after that is that we have the overheads, which are not driven by the volume of production, which is more time based. So overheads will have to be apportioned into the products. So what we did traditionally, we took this huge pool of overheads and used one indicator and allocated the overheads based on a single indicator into the product. Most of the time, the indicator was labor hours. So we took the total budgeted amount of overheads divided by the budgeted amount of labor for the whole period and calculated an OAR, overhead absorption rate, which said for every 1 hour of labor used, charge $2 of overheads. So products which used more labor were charged more overheads. Products which use less labor were charged with less overheads. Later on, mathematicians and management accountants started complaining that this method is wrong because labor is not the only indicator to represent the overhead behavior or the allocation to a product. There could be products which uses less and less labor but more complicated, so use more and more overheads. So the costing becomes completely wrong, and as a result the companies are faced with very severe negative circumstances. Let's look at a graph which will explain you simply what the traditional OAR did. We had overheads sitting on at the top, and then we used one single allocator like labor, material usage or the volume to allocate the costs into products. So the graph is very simple. Now what happens at activity based costing? Let's try to understand this graph, which will be very helpful to you. We first of all split the overheads into different cost pools, which represents different cost behaviors. So we have cost pool 1, cost pool 2, cost pool 3. An example for cost pool 1 may be all staff related costs into cost pool 1. So depending on the number of staff used for each product, the cost pool is split. Very simple. Let's take the second cost pool. This may be all the IT costs in the company. The servers, the computers, the network, communication, all ICT related costs. And depending on the requirement of ICT help for each and every product, the costs are allocated. Now you will see very clearly we are not using one single indicator like the previous situation, one single indicator. We are using multiple indicators to represent the costs of different pools. Let's take the third pool. The third cost pool would be the transportation. Say all the costs related to transportation. such as the trucks, the drivers, the maintenance, the other revenue license, warehousing, all kind of transportation costs could be lodged into the third cost pool. And depending on the transportation usage by each and every product, the costs are allocated. So quite rightly, this is a complicated product which requires a lot of time to calculate, but the cost allocation to different products are quite accurate. And if one product uses more from each cost pool, obviously more costs will be allocated to the product through that cost pool. So activity-based costing, as the word or set of words correctly explains, it costs the product based on the activities it uses. Now, for example, take Apple company. Take the recent iPad launched by Apple. Maybe the amount of labor used in the iPad is so small, and if we use the OAR traditional method to allocate the overheads using labor, the product would be seriously costed at a very, very low level. But as a result, against that, what Apple company did was they split the overhead costs into 37 different cost pools. I only explained 3 in my slide. 37 different cost pools, and split the cost pools accordingly to different products of their companies, like iPads, iPods, and so many other computers they have. Some products may use more research and development expenditure. The latest Apple Air launched, the thinnest laptop computer in the world, had to undergo serious research and development to make sure that a very thin, slim model is introduced to the world with all the features, of course, embedded into it. So a very significant portion of research and development out of the research and development pool was charged to the Apple Air. So likewise, this is a costing method which accurately assesses the costs of a product. Now, one method of examining would be, the examiner will give you a big overhead pool, and first of all would like you to split the overheads into different products. Maximum they will give is 3, taking the time limitations into consideration. First of all would like you to split the overheads into the products using the OAR method. So you have to follow the OAR method and then divide the overheads by either the labor consumption or the material consumption as specified in the question and calculate the costs. And then the examiner would ask you to criticize your own method. So what you have to do is you need to talk about the fact that the labor or the material what you used as a OAR is not representative of the total cost. Then the examiner would give you the same overhead split into few cost pools and would want you to identify few cost drivers and reallocate the costs based on the ABC method. So the cost pools may be transportation, IT related, could be research and development, marketing related, so on and so forth. Certain products require more marketing effort than the other products. So take for example Munchie cream cracker versus Munchie tiffin. Cream cracker is a standard product which requires less marketing effort, but if you take a new product like tiffin, you need to push it a little hard into the market. So you need more marketing effort. So in your marketing cost pool, more costs will be allocated to the tiffin, obviously, than to the cream cracker. So you need to do this and recalculate your costs. Then maybe part C or part D, examiner would ask you, obviously for 3-4 marks, to compare the two methods and talk about the consequences. Yeah. Now let's look at the slide again. I have two situations. Look at product A and product B. If I use a single indicator like the OAR, product A cost would be 1080. But if I use ABC, product A cost would come down to 533. If I use the OAR for product B, it will be 360, but under the ABC method, it will be 12. Now see, product B under the traditional method is seriously costed at a lower price. Now see the danger of this. Whereas the actual cost is 12, we are costing this at 360. What will happen? When our costs are assessed at a lower level, our selling prices will be incorrect. So we'll be releasing this product at a lower price. Customers will happily buy this. Company will think the product is doing very well because customers are buying it. Why are the customers buying this? Because the product is very cheap. And company didn't realize it's not a focused penetration strategy. This time the company is doing it as a mistake. So the company will think that the product is doing well and allocate more and more capacity into the product and may even go bankrupt. There is a company in the UK which manufactured heavy machinery which went bankrupt mainly due to this mistake. So the examiner may ask you the consequences of overpricing or underpricing a product due to incorrect assessment of cost, which you need to explain taking your OAR costing and the ABC costing. This could be a hot favorite at the exam. So that brings the end to our day's program, and we'll meet up again for our second part of the program. Until then, goodbye.